Let me tell you something that might shake you to your core. Being the nice person is breaking you. You wake up every morning trying to hold everybody else together while you're falling apart inside. You're always the one who listens, who forgives, who gives chance after chance, and they still take more. But hear me, your kindness should never be your cage. You've been shrinking, molding yourself into what they needed, saying yes when your soul was screaming no, smiling when your heart was cracking wide open. And I see you. I see the exhaustion behind your eyes, the quiet ache of not being seen, not being heard. But baby, your life is not a charity case. It's not your job to rescue people from the mess they won't clean up. Stop bleeding for those who wouldn't offer you a bandage. Stop being the nice person if it means betraying yourself. You deserve a life where you are held the way you hold others, where your boundaries are honored like sacred ground. There is power in saying no. There is healing in walking away. There is freedom in choosing you. Kindness without boundaries is self-destruction. It sounds harsh, maybe even cruel to say it like that, doesn't it? But the truth, raw, unfiltered, and often ignored, is that when you give and give and give without limit, without pause, without protecting your own soul, you are setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. That's not kindness. That's martyrdom disguised as love. That's a silent scream wrapped in a smile. And one day you'll wake up and not recognize the person in the mirror because you've poured out every piece of yourself into people who never once stopped to ask if you were okay. You see, we've been told our whole lives that being nice is a virtue, that good people sacrifice, that strong people carry others even when they themselves are tired. But there is a difference between being kind and being a doormat. There is a difference between compassion and codependency. Real kindness comes with clarity. It has strength. It has discernment. But the kind of nice many of us have learned, that's the version that keeps us small. That's the version that teaches us to swallow our voice, to tolerate mistreatment, to say yes when our spirit is screaming no. And we wear that behavior like a badge of honor, like being exhausted, used, and unseen somehow makes us noble. But it doesn't. It makes us empty. There is no glory in being the one who always bends, because every time you bend past your own limits, something inside you breaks. Every time you ignore your gut to make someone else comfortable, you teach yourself that your needs don't matter. And that lesson, repeated long enough, becomes your reality. Suddenly, you're in relationships where people only take. You're in rooms where your silence is expected. You're living a life where the loudest part of you is the ache you try so hard to suppress. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They don't shut people out, they protect what's sacred. And you, my dear, are sacred. Your time is sacred, your heart is sacred, your peace is sacred. But people will not treat them as such if you don't first declare them sacred yourself. The hard truth is this: people will take what you give. And if you give without end, they will take until there is nothing left. It's not because they're bad people, always, but because you never showed them where your line was. You never taught them how to treat you. And I know why. I know you've been afraid. Afraid that if you say no, you won't be loved. Afraid that if you set a boundary, they'll walk away. Afraid that if you speak your truth, you'll be alone. But hear me. Real love doesn't ask you to break yourself to be worthy of it. Real love doesn't punish you for protecting your peace. The ones who leave when you start standing in your truth, let them. Their absence is not your loss, it's your liberation. You have permission to say, I will not carry this anymore. You have permission to stop being the go-to fixer, the constant forgiver, the one who always understands. Understanding someone is not the same as excusing their behavior. Forgiveness is not permission for repeated hurt. And being nice should never mean abandoning yourself. There is strength in being kind, but there is greater strength in being kind to yourself first. Because when you take care of your soul, your boundaries become an act of love, not just for you, but for everyone around you. You teach people how to treat you. You model what self-respect looks like. And you show that love is not proven through self-sacrifice. It is proven through mutual care, respect, and accountability. You are allowed to be kind and assertive. You are allowed to be loving and loud about what you need. You are allowed to choose yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. Because when you are full, when your cup is not cracked and leaking, you give from overflow. And that kind of giving, that's powerful. That's sustainable. Stop telling yourself that your worth is measured by how much you endure. Stop believing that your softness must come at the cost of your sanity. Stop being nice if it means being numb. The world needs your kindness, yes, but not at the expense of your voice, your dreams, or your well-being. The people who deserve you will rise to meet you, and those who don't, they'll fall away, and you'll finally be free. Saying no is not cruelty, it's self-respect. And yet, for so many of us, the very act of saying that simple word comes with a mountain of guilt, fear, and shame. We hesitate, we justify, we over-explain ourselves because we've been taught that to say no is to let someone down, to disappoint, to be labeled cold, difficult, or selfish. But let me tell you something. There is nothing selfish about honoring your limits. There is nothing cruel about protecting your energy. In fact, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for others is to draw the line where your peace begins. From the time we were children, we were conditioned to be agreeable, be polite, don't make a fuss, say yes even if you're uncomfortable, smile and nod even when someone is crossing a line. And somewhere along the way, we internalized the lie that our worth is tied to our compliance, that our value comes from being liked, being wanted, being easy. But people-pleasing is not a virtue. It's a survival tactic. It's what you learned to do when the world didn't give you permission to have boundaries, when love was conditional, when approval had to be earned. You learned that your needs were secondary. You learned that no was a dangerous word. But now, you're not that child anymore. You get to rewrite the rules. Saying no is how you take your power back. It's how you teach the world who you are and what you stand for. When you say no to things that drain you, disrespect you, or diminish you, you are saying yes to your wholeness. You are saying yes to your time, your joy, your truth. And that is not an act of war, it's an act of self-love. We must stop seeing boundaries as rejection and start seeing them as clarity. We must stop thinking that protecting our well-being makes us rude or unkind. There is a difference between being kind and being a pushover. There is a difference between being generous and being self-sacrificing to the point of depletion. And that difference, it begins with your no. Your no does not need an apology. It does not need to be softened or sugar-coated or delivered with guilt. You do not owe anyone access to your life, your energy, or your time just because they ask for it. Not every invitation is a calling. Not every request deserves a yes, and not every person who wants a piece of you has earned the right to hold it. Saying no creates space for rest, for peace, for the things that truly matter. It protects you from resentment, from burnout, from silently suffering while pretending to be okay. Let's be honest. How many times have you said yes when everything inside you was screaming no? How many times have you pushed past your own discomfort just to keep the peace? And how many of those moments left you feeling small, overlooked, used? That is the cost of overextending. That is the hidden toll of being nice all the time. You lose yourself, you lose your voice, and eventually you start to believe that your needs are a burden. But they're not. Your needs are valid, your feelings are real, your limits are worthy of respect. Saying no is not the end of love, connection, or compassion. The people who truly care about you will understand. They might not always like it, but they will respect it. And those who don't, those who guilt you, manipulate you, or walk away when you stop bending, they were never honoring you. They were using you. And letting them go is not loss. It's liberation. It is making room for those who can meet you at your worth, not at your willingness to shrink. This world will try to convince you that being agreeable is the same as being good. But that's a lie. Being agreeable is often just a way to stay safe, to avoid conflict, to belong. True goodness comes with truth. It comes with courage. It comes with the strength to look someone in the eye and say, this doesn't work for me. To say, I love you, but I need space. To say, I won't allow this in my life anymore. That kind of honesty may shake the ground beneath your relationships. It may even bring endings. But what it also brings is alignment, integrity, peace. When you stop over-explaining yourself, when you stop softening every no so it doesn't offend, when you stop abandoning your own needs to avoid making others uncomfortable, you begin to reclaim your self-worth. You begin to teach the world that your time matters, your voice matters, your life matters, that you are not just here to serve others at the cost of yourself. So the next time you feel that hesitation, that flutter of guilt that says, I should say yes, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, if I say yes, what am I saying no to in myself? And let the answer guide you. Let it remind you that your no is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is sovereignty. It is the sacred line that keeps your soul intact. You don't need to be everything to everyone. You just need to be everything to yourself. And that begins with a word that is not harsh, not cold, but necessary. A word that draws the line and says, I will no longer abandon me. That word is no. Say it, mean it, and don't flinch. Because it's not the end. It's the beginning of everything that is finally, deeply yours. You are not selfish for choosing peace over pleasing. Let that sink into your bones. Let it wash over every corner of you that's been taught to put yourself last, that believes being loved means being everything for everyone all the time. Somewhere along the way, you were convinced that your value lies in how much you can tolerate, in how easy you can make other people's lives, even if it means making yours harder. But hear me now, you are not here to be consumed by the world. You are here to live in fullness, not in fragments. Choosing peace is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's strength. It's a radical act of self-honor in a world that constantly tells you to perform, to perfect, to please. Every time you choose peace, every time you walk away from drama, from chaos, from guilt-driven demands, you are standing up for your soul. And no, that is not selfish. That is sacred. Because your peace is your compass. It tells you where you belong, who you're safe with, and what spaces are worthy of your presence. When you sacrifice that peace to make others comfortable, you are betraying the deepest part of yourself. Pleasing people can feel like love, but often it's fear in disguise. The fear of rejection, the fear of conflict, the fear of being seen as too much or not enough. And so you quiet your truth. You become agreeable. You nod when you want to protest. You show up for people who would never show up for you. You call it kindness, but it's survival. You do it to be liked, to be needed, to keep the peace externally while the war inside you rages on. But peace isn't peace if it costs you your voice, your dignity, your rest. Let me ask you this. How many nights have you lost sleep because you couldn't say no? How many times have you replayed conversations in your head, thinking of all the ways you abandon yourself just to avoid rocking the boat? That is not peace. That is emotional debt. And the interest on that debt is burnout, bitterness, and resentment. But you don't owe anyone your constant availability. You don't owe anyone your silence just so they can stay comfortable in their behavior. You don't owe anyone access to the parts of you that are still healing. You are not selfish for drawing boundaries. You are not cruel for stepping away from people who drain you. You are not heartless for choosing quiet over chaos, solitude over toxicity, stillness over the storm. The people who truly love you won't ask you to shrink, to bend, or to break just so they can feel okay. They won't make you feel guilty for choosing your mental health, your rest, your safety. If someone only respects you when you're pleasing them, then what they value is their control over you, not your well-being. It's time to unlearn the idea that your worth is tied to your sacrifice, that the more you suffer, the more deserving you are of love. Real love does not demand self-abandonment. Real love holds space for your boundaries, your needs, your no. And yes, choosing peace may disappoint people. It may create distance. It may even bring endings. But that's not failure. It's freedom. Because in the space that peace creates, you'll find your real self again. You'll hear your own voice clear and unfiltered. You'll feel what it's like to exist without constantly managing other people's emotions. There is no trophy for being the most agreeable, no reward for being the most self-sacrificing. But there is a deep, abiding joy that comes from choosing you, from deciding that your life doesn't have to be a performance, that your relationships don't have to be transactions, that your worth isn't dependent on how little space you take up or how much you endure. This world will tell you that being liked is the goal. But being at peace with yourself is the real prize. That's what lasts. That's what carries you through the hard days and grounds you when everything else feels unstable. And peace doesn't mean your life is perfect or that you never face conflict. It means your heart is steady, your mind is clear, and you are no longer at the mercy of other people's expectations. So please stop apologizing for the space you take up. Stop explaining away your boundaries like they're a crime. Stop measuring your goodness by how much you can give until it hurts. You are not here to keep everyone else afloat while you drown. You are allowed to choose yourself, not just once, but every single day. Because when you are at peace, when you are whole, when you are rooted in who you really are, that's when you can give love that is honest, not obligatory. That's when your yes means something because it's not coming from fear. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't need validation to put yourself first. You only need to believe that you are worthy, not just of being loved, but of being loved in a way that doesn't cost you your joy. That's not selfish. That's the beginning of everything true. So let this be the moment you stop apologizing for choosing yourself. Let this be the moment you finally lay down the burden of always being the one who gives, the one who fixes, the one who pleases. You are not here to earn love.